Welcome back to my channel, Melanated Gods of Earth. Brothers and sisters, I'm your host, MODISE The High King. Royal family, if you're new to my channel, consider smashing the subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, the thumbs up, let the algorithm know what's good. Let other like-minded souls know that we are out here. Africa is rising, the youth is rising. Western powers are doing everything in their might to keep an iron grip on us as a continent and our mineral resources and our potential as a youth workforce. We are the youngest population, and it comes with benefits that the old powers, the old colonial masters could not anticipate. They did not expect. They do not know what to do in this new world, as we are resisting on every level. The vibe is high, and none more representative than young Ibrahim Traore of the Burkina Faso. He intimidated the West. I'll have a quick look at that, and then next I want to share, because I was watching a few minutes of Africa-Russia summit, and President Museveni was going on and saying some words that I thought we should think about and consider, regardless of what you think of the man and the country. Politics in this modern age surrounding Africa's resources is something we must all consider. Let's start with young Ibrahim Traore, because you know the youth, we're out here.
The 35-year-old young leader of Burkina Faso is gaining popularity. He was already popular in the western region of Africa, but now it's becoming international, especially because of his recent speech. He addressed Putin during the Russia-Africa summit, and this is what he said.
It's not quite clear to me how come that Africa that has so many resources, water, solar energy, how come that currently it is the poorest continent in the world with the highest levels of famine? How come that we have to ask for help? We ask ourselves, but we don't get any answers. We have a chance to build new relationship. Hopefully, this relationship will be for the better to us in order to build a better future for our country. On behalf of my generation, I would like to say that due to poverty, many had to cross oceans in quest for a better life. At times they die, at times they starve. It's hard for them to survive. As for Burkina Faso, it's been 8 years since we have been facing the most barbaric and violent form of colonialism, barbarism. We are imposed this modern form of slavery. We were taught one thing: a slave that cannot rebel does not deserve pity. Leaders of African states should not be puppets when imperialists treat them like that.
There are so many points that he made, but the ones that people were happy about is the fact that he mentioned the puppet leaders of Africa and how they need to stop. Also, he said that this is enough, like this generation is going to change it, and that is what's going to happen going forward, and that's what's gaining him popularity, especially the fact that he's young but full of ideas and strength. He mentioned that they're fighting against imperialism, even though other African leaders are calling him and his whole military leadership out. He believes that they're making a big mistake. And to be honest, we need to also consider the people on the ground. Yes, having a coup is not the ideal way of transitioning power, but as he said, why do you take arms? There's a reason why these people said enough is enough. It's because they got tired of their leadership and their leadership being puppets to the West, and in this case, most of them to France. And for many people, they are heroes. You can just see what
look at that devil deal right there.
And also, when they're demonstrating, showing support
it got
to
in
the
bondage.
leaders, it tells you that people are happy. At least the people of that country are putting their hopes in this new leadership. So whether the West likes it or not, the people like it. And if the people like it, we love it. We just hope that these leaders don't let them down. And there's a reason why people are falling in love with this leader. Let me show you another clip of him speaking about unity of Africans and the youth.
Real quick, family, when he said that this generation is the one that's going to change it, the puppet regime system, the way in which Western powers tries everything to keep us under submission, it just sent waves to my chest right there. Wow. That's the level we must think on. The African youth must insist
about unity of Africans and the youth.
Il faut que les gens comprennent que en rang dispersé, ça sera difficile. On va se battre, mais il faut que l'Afrique arrive à s'unir. Et plus on s'unit, plus on est efficace. Nous sommes en train d'évaluer actuellement beaucoup de choses avec le Mali, surtout sur le domaine économique. Sur le côté défense, déjà, on a des accords, hein, ça c'est déjà scellé. Les Maliens viennent chez nous, c'est la même armée. On fait tout ensemble, on s'entraîne ensemble, on combat ensemble. Terrestre, aérien, tout se passe bien. Et voilà, donc le volet économique aussi, on est en train de réfléchir. On a beaucoup de flux d'échanges commerciaux. Comment renforcer, voilà, il y a beaucoup de paramètres à prendre en compte. Et voilà, on n'exclut pas notre État vienne fédérer avec nous. Hein. Donc le processus est en cours. Voilà, et plus tôt ça va venir, mieux c'est. Donc s'il y a d'autres États qui sont intéressés, c'est sûr qu'on va aller vers la Guinée. Et s'il y a d'autres États intéressés, qu'on puisse s'unir. C'est ce que la jeunesse demande. Parce qu'il y a des choses qui se produisent.
Aid from everywhere,
d'autres recherches.
Everyone is down for the struggle.
Interchanger, qu'on soit assez fort.
As you can see, obviously he's well spoken, and also he comes from the same Burkina Faso that Thomas Sankara was once in, and his leadership was short-lived because of an assassination by the West. So we pray that this young man is vigilant and also does what needs to be done, because so far he's actually accomplishing what he's preaching, which is unity. He is working with Mali, and also now they're working towards uniting with Guinea. So well done to this young man.
Yeah, that sent chills and waves to my spirit, royal family. We must insist on a new order. The African black man and black woman are the primordial progenitors of all mankind. We must insist. If they do not respect Africa, they cannot share any of this cheddar. But let's get into what Museveni was saying at the Africa Summit in regards to our mineral resources. A few moments of that.
This is the big scandal. So what I want to propose to Russia and China is to discourage by policy the importing of raw materials from Africa, to instead work with the Africans to add value at source. This would, within a very short time, transform the economies of Africa from low income or low middle income to high middle income or even first world. Because, like in the case of Uganda, everything is in place now, production is high, but we are still producing raw materials. And what we want is, first of all, procurement. Somebody to buy processed end products as policy. Because like in the European Union, if you import unprocessed coffee, it enters the European Union zero tax, without tax. But at some point, if you add value to coffee, they were putting a tax, 17%, to block the entry into Europe of processed coffee. There were zero for raw material, tax for value added. Now, if China and Russia were to, as a policy, in a very short time, some of these countries, the economy would grow. And it's bad economics on the side of course, the Western countries. You see, for instance, if we were to export processed products to...
Hey. Oh, it's a glitch in the speech. Oh, sweet. Thought that was me.
Products.
I hate glitches.
It would be better for everybody. So that's what I want to propose to you. If you can look at it, it would definitely be a game changer. So
Hey, move it along.
Many scenes, the diagnostics, the pharmaceuticals. We have our own groups which are working on those, but it would be good if we worked with the Russian companies. So these are the main points which I think we can.
Lord have mercy.
We can. That's why Uganda is
apologies, people.
Peace in that part of the world. I think we are now the biggest accommodator of refugees in the whole of Africa.
Okay. Is there more?
Formation of the African National Congress in South Africa. Formation of the African National. One was the formation of the African National Congress in South Africa, 1912. That was the first time the Africans were organizing for liberating Africa. Then in 1917, the communists took over power in Russia here. And they were the first international group to support us. And then later on, they were joined by China, 1949. That formed a solid anti-colonial force.
Anti-colonial struggle, all the chums in the house.
We tell whoever wants that, look here, the Soviet people are the first who stood with us when we were fighting against colonialism. Therefore, this is the starting point. Now, coming to modern times, we can cooperate in economic development because there is big potential, and we have already started. I thank you very much for the laboratory, and I thank you for the scholarships. Even in the past, we have had many of our students studying here. But now, we propose new areas, like, for instance, the area of refinery and exploration for petroleum products. We've got some little oil, which we want to export as crude, but also refine for the East African market.
I know there are people who have an issue with the current the pipeline project in Uganda. But between the oil, like I said in a previous video, you can forget about the oil and the coal if you want. My concern is the uranium, because technology has advanced and we have come quite a bit. I think I want to share a clip real quick though. On that note, before I end this video, because technology has advanced quite a bit and there are these things called modular reactors, and if you don't know what they are, royal family, it's overlooked. Maybe because we're not quite there yet, but regardless of what you think, let's just have a quick look-see of a few minutes of macronuclear reactors final. Hopefully that's a good enough clip. I can't recall. And if Russia can teach us and share that knowledge of the nuclear reactors, the miniaturization of them, bad boys, then we can skip generations of developmental struggles. Quantum leap, so to speak.
This little guy packs a big punch. It's the size of a walnut and can release the same energy as 2,000 liters of diesel. Not bad for a rock. With so much power comes great responsibility. For as fission reactions take place, the uranium fuel is slowly transforming into roughly 1/3 of the periodic table as solids and gases. These are the radioactive fission products that make nuclear waste dangerous, and they must be permanently contained. So beyond generating heat, the fuel needs to trap the fission products in place. In FCM fuel, millimeter-sized bits of uranium are trapped in tiny ceramic pressure vessels that can withstand extreme temperatures and radiation. These particles are then encased within a fully dense silicon carbide matrix, somewhat like encasing the fuel in a diamond. Silicon carbide is used for tank armor and has an extremely high melting temperature, far beyond the heat generated by the fuel.
See, when we're not making weapons of war,
and does not chemically interact with other materials in the reactor. If the pellet is fractured, the fuel particles can remain intact as they are smaller than the smallest fragments. The core is assembled with enough fuel and graphite blocks to produce heat through self-sustaining fission reactions. This fully ceramic core has the lowest power density of any commercial reactor ever, allowing it to easily dissipate excess heat. To power it up, control rods are withdrawn and the fission reactions can begin. But these reactions slow down at higher temperatures. So to keep producing power, the reactor has to be cooled. If cooling stops, the reactor automatically shuts down. Helium carries heat out of the nuclear core. It is a harmless, noble gas, completely unreactive and stable. And while somewhat inefficient, it is the safest coolant available. Now, the problem with nuclear fuel is that it continues to generate heat even after the reactor is powered down. It will continue to generate roughly 10% of the original heat for hours and days to come. And if it's not cooled, that heat will pile up. The challenge with nuclear has always been to ensure the reactor does not damage itself when cooling is lost. The MMR can dissipate all excess heat passively and harmlessly into the environment in any scenario. Like a warm puck, it cools off just by sitting there. No moving parts or fluids, no operator actions, just simple cooling by conduction and glowing. This means the reactor can tolerate extreme conditions and survive undamaged. It can deal with complete withdrawal of all control rods. It doesn't need power to operate cooling pumps or emergency systems. The MMR doesn't even need coolant or natural airflow to stay at safe temperatures. It doesn't really need very much at all. Instead of designing elaborate safety systems against particular scenarios, we've designed a reactor that is inherently safe no matter the events. The MMR harnesses the fuel's formidable energy while fully containing its radioactivity during all encountered conditions, be it normal operations, worst-case failures, or permanent storage. This is ultra-safe, the new standard for nuclear safety.
Now that was just a basic. I think here's the other prep up video that I remember. I don't know why it's not in my history. Anyway.
The Micro-Modular Reactor, or MMR, is a nuclear energy system for reliable energy anywhere, providing safe, carbon-free power to off-grid mines or industrial sites. It's the ideal solution for communities looking to protect the environment with affordable and reliable power. Once communities show...
So in a previous video, you saw the basics of the safety measures behind the technological advancements that I mentioned in a previous video.
Environment with affordable and reliable power. Once communities show overwhelming support, site licensing and preparation begins. Reactor modules are manufactured in our central factory and delivered
and this
to
is the key point,
where they are assembled in a matter of months.
See? Months.
Locally hired, trained operators are always on site for maintenance and security. Each reactor produces electricity and heat on demand for roughly 5,000 homes. And more reactors can be added to match demand, be it from a large industrial facility requiring process heat, or to power campuses and cities. When accidents occur, the MMR is unable to melt, because any excess heat passively dissipates into the environment without any moving parts, and in any scenario. That is ultra-safe. After 20 years of continuous operation, the spent nuclear core is removed and stored according to the...
Now that's the key part I want people to notice, the size of that bad boy.
The National Storage Plan. Spent fuel can be safely and permanently placed deep underground.
You're such a nerd.
Where it will remain undisturbed, encased in a diamond-like ceramic that outlasts any remaining radioactivity. The power plant has prevented the atmospheric release of 1 million tons of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. Operations can continue with a fresh reactor, or the site can be restored to its original greenfield. Environmental protection is assured, and carbon emissions are eliminated. Ultra-safe nuclear assumes full responsibility for the safety of the power plant and the communities that thrive around it.
And that is the point, ladies and gentlemen. We as Africa have our resources, but between the ones that can actually save us from extreme poverty and the worst of the situation, like uranium, Western powers have created a narrative around it, not because it's ultimately true, but because they are the only ones who want to be in control of these resources. Uranium is only good if France is getting it, if Western powers are extracting it to build their atomic bombs. Not for you as an African to develop yourself. God no. Under no circumstances are you allowed to use your uranium for yourself. If you missed that clip, make sure you go check it out. France desperate to hold on to Niger and its uranium. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. Remember that phrase, people? We have been blessed with all sorts of mineral resources, and if between natural gas and uranium and other energy sources we can sustain ourselves in the present and in the future, utilizing the best of modern advanced technology, let me know in the comments below what you think. Maybe you like the newer approach towards nuclear energy, or you think it's still worth abandoning for non-existent forms, because let's face it, the sun doesn't shine every day, the wind doesn't blow all day. Let me know what you think in the comments below, family, about the video as well. If you enjoy it, make sure you subscribe, share if you know other like-minded souls who are down for the anti-colonial struggle in the modern era. Stay royal, stay dangerous, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.